Hello, I'm Sergeant First Class Jeremiah Richardson, and here's a look at what's inside this edition of Army Reserve Today. Keeping connected, an Army Reserve soldier finds purpose in teaching others on battle assembly.
Everyone knows what's going on in a timely manner, because that's the most important thing.
Striving for excellence. Soldiers from the 310th Expeditionary Sustainment Command compete to represent their unit.
There's just times I had to just sit down and study, go on a run every once in a while, and try to crank out some push-ups and sit-ups every night.
Nurtured hope. Army Reserve veterinarians educate farmers in Djibouti, Africa on how to nurture and grow their livestock.
So they can have healthy animals, which results in healthy people.
Supplying the warriors. The 55th Sustainment Brigade perfects their craft of keeping soldiers in the fight.
You'll find the combat forces in the Guard and in the active component, but you'll find mostly sustainment forces in the United States Army Reserve.
Reserve goes global. Army Reserve soldiers train up international teams for the Sandhurst Competition held at West Point.
And they're doing it on their own, successfully. It's one of the things that you just feel good about yourself.
These stories and more ahead on this edition of Army Reserve Today. Hello, and welcome to Army Reserve Today. I'm Sergeant First Class Jeremiah Richardson.
And I'm Specialist Maria Casnero. Thanks for joining us.
We begin with our top story. Battle assembly is a staple of an Army Reserve career. In just 16 hours a month, Reserve soldiers and leaders must work to train soldiers on their job skills and leadership abilities. For Specialist Megan Wilcox of the 200th MP Command, such training time gives her purpose.
I joined the Army March 1st, 2018. I joined because I wanted to start a new challenge. We compete and we fight in such large areas. If there wasn't the support of the Signal Corps and 25 uniforms, people wouldn't be able to communicate at long distance. We're using different forms of warfare that required a higher level of technical communication, tactical and technical communication. So that's what we do. We support that to make sure everyone knows what's going on in a timely manner, because that's the most important thing. It can help save a life. You don't want to leave your people out there without information, because it leaves them to risk. I've worked a lot with the individual sections to help ensure that they are ready, and that includes a lot of hands-on training.
All right, so let's talk about technical characteristics or the practicality of why we use these radios.
We worked with each section to make sure they have all the communication equipment that they need and have and assigned to them to make sure, it's properly maintained. You don't want broken pins in your radios because then they won't work. You want to make sure that they actually know how to assemble it and use it and program it, because if you can't use it, then it's no good.
So now we're going to go through our models. Does anybody know what model they have in front of them?
It's always rewarding because you see someone finally get how to use the ASIP keypad on the SingGuard radio, and their face lights up like, wow, I did that. And it makes me feel good. And it makes me feel like I'm actually contributing something to the unit. I'm Specialist Wilcox. I'm a 25 uniform, which is a system support specialist with the 200th Military Police Command.
Every year, Army Reserve units host Best Warrior competitions that test soldiers against one another on a variety of warrior tasks and skills. The winners then represent their command at the next level of competition. The 310th Expeditionary Sustainment Command's competitors are often among the best in the field. Here's Sergeant First Class Richardson with more on the event.
They shot, they hiked, they ran, and they were tested. The candidates for this year's Best Warrior competition, run by the 310th Expeditionary Sustainment Command, were tried over the course of 4 days, and yet they remained resilient.
Nice and good pace up the hills. Take a little jog down the hills in the flat areas and just have fun.
The Best Warrior Competition is a rare opportunity for Army Reserve soldiers to showcase all their hard-learned skills.
I had to make time. I work a full-time job as well, so there was just times I had to just sit down and study, go on a run every once in a while, and try to crank out some push-ups and sit-ups every night.
Each of the soldiers at the tournament has to find their inner motivation to compete against the best in the command. Beyond pure competition, there are other reasons soldiers should try to join this event.
So when I go out and talk to soldiers, I always encourage them to consider Best Warrior, because I tell them that Best Warrior is a chance to distinguish themselves among their peers. It's a chance to challenge themselves, to demonstrate their physical fitness, their discipline, and to gain some recognition for doing so. There's absolutely no downside to coming out and participating in a Best Warrior, making some new friends, learning some new things, and then taking that back to their units.
Reporting from USARC Public Affairs for the 310th Expeditionary Sustainment Command, I'm Army Sergeant First Class Jeremiah Richardson.
In agricultural communities around the world, the health of their livestock is paramount to the health and welfare of their communities. Army Reserve veterinarians have a unique ability to improve the lives of these communities by providing the latest care and training to farmers. Lieutenant Colonel Leah Tingley from the 403rd Civil Affairs Battalion explains this beneficial veterinarian program.
A VetCap is a veterinary civic action program where we will work with local herds, pastoralists, or community animal health care workers or veterinary professionals in the country to build their partner capacity. The areas that we go to are very difficult to reach because they are very far away off of paved roads for hours and hours. You're driving through the desert, through rutted roads, through roads that don't even exist, roads that you're just making up as you go along to get where you need to go.
The VetCap programs have evolved in that now they are taking on much more of an educational shift. Therefore, the VetCap program is now shifting to individual animal care, diagnosing each individual animal so you're not just doing a blanket treatment which can create superbugs or super parasites, which will be harmful to the herd in the long run, even though you make the majority of them healthy today.
When we're coming here, we take a One Health approach and look at both the human medicine side of things and how that intersects with veterinary medicine and environmental health.
These people have knowledge in them from the hundreds of years of pastoralists preceding them. We're delivering the most up-to-date information. We do it without being condescending and aimed at the needs they actually have rather than the ones we assume they have.
Turn some of them resistant to the disease, and it makes it harder to treat the next time.
Well, if you look at the places where we practice, very few of these countries are industry-based. They tend to be very agricultural societies. So in order to help stabilize these countries and create food security and keep people from having to migrate, you need veterinarians to come in and help them develop the best practices available to build their veterinary community and build the animal health community so they can have healthy animals, which results in healthy people.
Don't go away. Army Reserve Today will be right back.
Our homes have all sorts of hazards. That's why it's important to have alarms and detectors to help alert us to dangers like smoke and CO poisoning. Overloading circuits is another potential source of danger in the house. Plugging too many things into one outlet can overload a circuit and cause overheating, which can even lead to an electrical fire. Did you know that falls from a ladder are one of the top ways you can kill yourself at home? It's especially dangerous because most people aren't used to balancing themselves in high places while they perform strenuous activities like pruning trees or cleaning gutters. Believe it or not, yard work can also present numerous threats to our health. Lawnmowers and hedge trimmers send thousands of people to the hospital every year, and your eyes and fingers are the top victims. Be sure to wear protective gear like gloves, goggles, and earplugs, and always turn the mower off before emptying or unclogging the bag. Remember, your house can sometimes feel like a war zone. So be aware of the common safety hazards and take preventative steps to keeping you and your loved ones safe. Especially husbands who always seem to be getting into trouble.
Welcome back. Army Reserve soldiers have so many requirements that it can be difficult to find time to practice intense warrior skills. Private Alex Elliott explains how soldiers of the 304th Infantry Regiment conducted a leadership-driven event aimed at refining those warrior skills.
Soldiers from the 1st Battalion, 304th Infantry Regiment competed in a Freedom Ride throughout the April 4th to 6th weekend on Fort Devens, Massachusetts. The Freedom Ride was a field training exercise, but it had several challenges to compete throughout the event.
First time in probably 4 years that we've actually, ominous dominus, stayed out all night and did the whole nine of a field exercise.
Drill sergeants and drill sergeant candidates mostly made up the unit. This was part of the soldiers' monthly drill weekend. They were tested on all basic warrior tasks and skills.
It's so mission critical to maintain just even the basic, for lack of a better term, 10-level tasks. It really is. Because if you don't know how to do something when you go downrange, as in, deployed, even the smallest of tasks, how are you going to learn the biggest of tasks? And if you can maintain the basics, you can then go on and maintain the intermediates and then the advanced levels.
The FTX tested soldiers' abilities to shoot under pressure and accurately. It took them to a land navigation course where they were tested on first aid, throwing grenade, and radio calls. That night, the soldiers slept in the field. In the morning, they rucked several miles to the final event, an obstacle course.
We're very tight-knit family, and it's just always, these events always bind us, and not just us, but battalion as a whole.
After everything was completed, awards and certificates were handed out. The winner of the event was Team 1 from C Company. Reporting from Fort Devens, Massachusetts, I'm Army Private Alex J. Elliott.
In order for command teams of sustainment brigades to maintain mission readiness, they conduct what are called command post exercises. These exercises train their operational staffs how to plan, conduct, and react to simulated real-world missions. This year on Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the 55th Sustainment Brigade used such an operation to find out how much their staff could flex and still succeed.
This is a great exercise for that fast walk of really getting to a collective training event to exercise a brigade level 06 staff. Our goal here is to get at sustaining the warrior on the battlefield. We are a critical piece for the deployment across the whole Army, the total Army. You'll find the combat forces in the Guard and in the active component, but you'll find mostly sustainment forces in the United States Army Reserve.
I think the real value that citizen soldiers bring to the fight is, Army-trained logisticians in supply and transportation, but coupled with their daily job that they bring their creativity and technical skills to bear.
We need to understand where the threat is coming, what their capabilities are, and what our protection assets are. Everyone really comes together here, whereas back in the unit, I'm focusing on intel work. I think it's a great way for me to get to use my skill sets. We're really learning a lot.
Ensuring that all the ASPs have the proper amount of ammunition, and that all the down trace units or all the units that we're supporting is getting the ammo that they need as well. So we're managing that, pushing it up to all the ASPs, and so my team is really crunching numbers to ensure all the warfighters have the amount of ammo that they need. Whenever I'm with my soldiers, I try to express that importance of it to ensure that they're getting everything that they need, and just thinking forward at all times. I always try to enforce, no matter what your job is, no one should do it better than you.
And you can't do anything if you can't eat. You can't if you don't have your class 5 ammo, and you can't, if you're not clothed, if your equipment's not maintained, if you're not having things transported. Obviously, we're a very critical role in the total Army.
The Sandhurst Competition, held at West Point, is the world's premier international military academy skills competition. The Army Reserve provides some of its elite trainers to teach and assist participating international teams. Our own Staff Sergeant Felix Fimbres got an inside look on what that entailed.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Parks. I am a Sergeant First Class. So the Sandhurst Military Skills Competition is an international cadet competition where cadets from all over the globe come together for a 2-day competition to put together all their skills. They just compete against each other, and they have a lot of fun, a lot of smiles, a lot of pain, because they are walking about 27 miles in a 2-day period. It's a great event, and it's something that us as Army Reserve truly enjoy. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I look forward to this mission every year. Our primary mission is to train the non-West Point teams. We have 10 tasks this year. 4 years ago, we were actually asked to assist in the competition itself. So now our mission not only is the external train-up piece, we're now not just doing the one event initially, but we've expanded to 10 events today. And it's just completely exploded for us. We're also grading the competition. So I have 60 of our soldiers assigned to different lanes to facilitate the grading of the competition. We bring a lot to the table. We have a great relationship with DMI, the Department of Military Instruction here at West Point. And I think they appreciate the fact that we're able to shift gears quickly, and we're able to adapt and overcome to whatever they need. Sending text messages to me, hey, what do you think of this? They're asking opinions, especially when it came down to the competition, because they know that we've been doing this for so long. We have that experience. Every 2 years, they change officers here. We've been doing this for 10 years. We're the one common thing to this mission. I think the Army Reserve brings to the table a great level of experience. We have a very diverse group of soldiers within our unit, and they bring a very diverse amount of experience to the table, which ultimately ends up benefiting not only us as a unit, but West Point as a whole. So Sergeant David Palczewski is one of our soldiers that's been here for a number of years. He's a border agent, and we use him for the, right now we're using him for the M9 training range because we want to utilize his experience as a police officer with sidearms out there on a range. That is something that he's very familiar with and very capable of handling.
And from there, once you're ready to fire, you take it off safe. Sergeant First Class David Palczewski, Bravo Company, 3rd or 304th Regiment. We are training the teams to get ready for Sandhurst, specifically the foreign teams, those who are not familiar with the M9 pistol. This week is just the train-up week. We teach them on the weapon systems they may not be familiar with. For instance, all teams don't have the M9 pistol. They may have the Glock or a different weapon system, and we just familiarize themselves with it. I work for the Border Patrol on the northern border, and the skills we learn there, they do apply. The tactics we learn from using the weapon systems we use there, we use the same things, the pistols, rifles. It's fun because there's a variety of what each team knows. You go from a lot of teams that might not have even touched a pistol, so you're kind of teaching them their first time ever touching it, holding it, and firing it. And then you have some teams that are close to professionals with it, where you actually might be learning something from them or even giving them an extra tip that they might not have known before. Being an instructor, when you see someone who doesn't know how to do something and you take them from 0 and you train them to 100, and in the end they're doing it on their own successfully, it's one of the things that you just feel good about yourself once you do that.
Suicide is an issue that the Army Reserve has taken great efforts to address. The force has created resources to help soldiers work through many issues and stressors that can lead to suicidal thoughts. However, tragic events can happen in a soldier's personal life. One soldier from the 200th Military Police Command walks us through his journey of resilience.
I'm a father of 7 children, 5 of which being girls. I felt that I had to protect them. Was nobody going to protect them the way that I could? And something happened to one of my daughters in my own home by a family member that turned everything upside down. Until this day, he's still in jail for the actions that he took, in which we found out that had been taking place over the course of maybe 4 years. There's nothing that I had experienced in combat or a police officer that would prepare me for something of that magnitude happening to me, to her, while I'm there. I had to keep up the persona for her and the rest of the family that I was strong and that I would take care of this. But on the inside, it was killing me. I didn't want to do anything in my house because I didn't want my family to have to clean up my mess. And I walked to the middle of the street and I looked both ways. There were no cars coming. And I said, this is it. I'm going to do it. My neighbor, who is also a veteran, was outside cutting his grass. And I came outside. He didn't know I was armed, but I was. He called me over. I walked over to his yard and he said, brother, what are you doing? I said, just looking. He said, that's bullshit. I see it because I've done it. I was there. So I could see it a mile away. He said, I can pretty much smell it on you. Let's talk. And that day, he knew it as well as I did. He saved my life. I was tired of fighting. I was tired of going through things. Just tired, period. Tired of being tired. There are days that, even today, where you feel that everything will be better off if you were just gone and there'll be more taken care of and you wouldn't have to deal with it. But then how would they feel if you gave up and you ended it all? And why do they have to keep fighting when the strongest person in their eyes gave up and didn't continue to fight? I was lucky enough to have a support system in the family and outside of the family that I could talk to. And they helped me through a lot. And it helped her through a lot. Going through counseling, you need each other. We need each other. Without each other, we're nothing. So why would you suffer in silence? Tell someone, reach out. It doesn't make you less of a man or less of a person, period, for you to seek for help. That's why we all exist, to complement each other, to make each other better, to be able to share our experiences, to learn from one another. No matter what the troubles are, there's always higher ground. And if you have hit rock bottom and there's nowhere else to go, why not try to go up? Because all that's free. You're never powerless. You're never worthless. You get your second win and you get back in the fight. Don't give up. Never give up.
Don't go away. Army Reserve Today. We'll be right back.
This U.S. Army Reserve application allows you to stay connected, informed, engaged, and on top of your agenda. With it, you can follow the news and share your favorite articles with other members. It's now much easier to join conversations and be part of a wide range of communities. You can also create your own group and add members. Locate nearby members on the map and find support services close to you. Check into locations to receive relevant information, training schedules, and also mark yourself as safe in emergency situations. Easily keep track of your fitness levels with our Army Physical Fitness Test. Challenge yourself and compete against other members in multi-discipline sports. Explore extensive resources at your fingertips. The new U.S. Army Reserve Double Eagle app. Download it today.
Welcome back. Many soldiers in the Army Reserve use their military-trained skills to acquire civilian employment. Sometimes the skills crossover is near perfect, with both the civilian skills and the military MOS feeding into each other, making better trained soldiers. For one set of friends in the Army Reserve, the role of news reporter and public affairs soldier resulted in near perfect symmetry.
That ability to create something out of nothing and tell soldier stories just drew me in. So you kind of get to experience everything the Army has to offer. The things that I've been able to see and be a part of, it's a countless list. I'm currently enrolled at Middle Tennessee State University. My time overseas has allowed me to have all the benefits in the world to go to school, so I'm getting a world-class education and getting paid to do it. The civilian world job I have is kind of analogous to what I do in the Army. So I work at Fox 17 News, it's a local news station in Nashville, with my best friend who's also in the same unit as me, Sully. We are essentially brothers, and we do damn near everything together. So now we're both at Fox News. We already have 2 deployments under our belt, and then give it a year and a half, and then another deployment comes up. Kuwait, we went to explore 18 countries in 9 months in the Middle East, and came back and slid right back into our roles at Fox. Journalism is usually a degree-only field. If it wasn't for the things that I have done, the products that I've produced for the military, I would not have the civilian job I have. I would definitely recommend doing this for the Army. Civilian side of journalism is very difficult to break into. They want that experience because you're not just a 22-year-old kid just graduated school. You're somebody that is disciplined, knows the job, and can do the job in any situation, anywhere in the world.
The Army Reserve had the opportunity to help train military working dogs and their handlers on decontamination procedures at a rare multi-service exercise. Sergeant Corey Gwynn from the 719th Medical Detachment explains the importance of CBRN for the dogs.
Why it's important to keep the dogs safe is because not only they're an asset, but they're a battle buddy, right? And that affects morale for the military working dog units, as well as the people around them who've worked with the dogs.
I would monitor you first, and then once I get to monitoring
This is an exercise that is for doing decon for military working dogs.
If you do have any contact between you...
So decon is decontamination of persons and equipment and resources in an event they were exposed to chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear or other substances.
Rob, you're cool.
In the Air Force, we do our CBRN training like annually, but in my 15 years, we've never incorporated military working dogs into that. So it's going to be a great experience for not only the Army side, but as well as the Air Force handlers.
This isn't practiced often. It's combining multiple elements as well as multiple branches of the service, which is nice to use Air Force and Army to come together and collaborate and continue to create high-speed training. In the future, prepare chemical as well as security force elements to better be prepared for any sort of event or explosions, but this is going to be a great opportunity for them moving forward to have this basis of training.
And that will do it for this episode of Army Reserve Today.
For more information about the U.S. Army Reserve, check us out online at www.usar.army.mil.
Friend us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at U.S. Army Reserve.
From Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and the U.S. Army Reserve Command, I'm Sergeant First Class Jeremiah Richardson.
And I'm Specialist Maria Casnero. Thanks for watching.